Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. That's James Knight. I'm Bob Lung. We're going to review Week 6. We're going to preview Week 7. It's Thursday night. Bengals Steelers are going to be happening. Bad game, good game. We don't know where we're going to have these two. You just never know. They both kind of all over the board. It could be 50 to 48. It could be 13 to 10. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're coming up next, whether they are or not. Welcome back. James Knight's here. I'm here. We're here for week 6, heading into week 7. That's right. We're at week halfway through the regular season for most fantasy leagues, which is usually 14 weeks. Some may go 13. Just depends on how you're set up. But we're excited to be back. Lots of stuff to talk about. A lot of consistency data to go over. Who's at the top of the list? Who's perfectly 100% consistent in the various positions? And what's been happening? So, James, as always, love to have you here, brother. How's everything going? How's the teams looking? How's that future looking for a lot of your teams?
It's looking pretty good. Managed to get Rashi Rice back on several teams. I told you my main home league. I think I jinxed myself. Said I was undefeated last week. Was going to get him back. Ended up getting curb stomped. I'm not going to lie. This past week, so that was a rough one for me. Lost Buka, Garrett Wilson, tons of different players in that game. But hey, Rice is coming back, so it can't be that bad. Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. Scott Fishbowl, I'm in second in my division. Just nice. Cracked 11 wins in that. So yeah, I think 13 gets you in the playoffs automatically. So I only need to get 2 more. So I'm excited about that.
Definitely. My 5-0 Kings Classic team. Man, want to talk about an absolute choke. Mm-hmm. So going into Monday night, I'm down. I think I was down 20. But I had JCM, Deebo Samuel, and I had one more. It was Keon Coleman in the early game. And the guy I was going against had Dalton Kincaid left. Okay, so I'm like I only need 20 points of these guys higher than Dalton Kincaid. And then, Dalton Kincaid is out. What? This will be a walkthrough, right? This will be easy. And those 3 idiots combined for like 15 points. They each scored like 5. So I lost by 5 so that was my first loss of the year. I've had a couple Monday nights where I came back and won. But yeah, that was a real kick in the nuts, especially since like Jaden Daniels had a great game, was throwing touchdowns left and right, just didn't go to any of those guys. And Keon Coleman did nothing in his game, and it was just like, So anyway, 5-1 in that one, which is fine. Still doing well. I think I'm in first place, 5-1 in the FSGA conference tournament. So really want to win that one. Kings Classic and that one is the 2 I really want to win because that one gets you the magical Ring of Champions, which puts me into the Ring of Champions for the FSGA Champion League, which I want to get in as well. So anyway, we're working towards that. But all right, let's get started. Let's look at the quarterbacks. And we have one left at 100% consistent. And I had mentioned this last week. And I said last week we didn't have any hundreds because of Baker Mayfield. The clutch factor went up to about 20.2, and he had like a 19.9. And so it removed that clutch game because now the factor was higher. And I said, but don't be surprised if there's a down week, the clutch factor falls back, the Baker may move back up to 100%. And that's exactly what happened. So clutch factor dropped down to 19.83. It was a very poor week for quarterbacks, and not too many clutch games were earned. So Baker's now back to 100%. And again, if it fluctuates again, he could drop one and lose one, but we'll just have to see from there. 83% Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. We've got Caleb Williams at 80%, even though he's 12th in total points. Lamar Jackson still 3 for 4, but of course is missing games due to injury. We had Josh Allen drop down to 67%. Dak Prescott is 67%. And Drake May is 67%. Yet they're second, third, and fourth in total points. Already down to 67%. What do you think? Where are we at? What's happening? Where are we going? Because we'll talk about a couple guys here that are way down in consistency, but up in points, and vice versa, that are flipping on us. Your thoughts on the top group? Are quarterbacks ever going to be consistent again? I feel like they're not.
It feels like the guys that we had locked and loaded that you just know are up there. I mean, we talked high on Baker Mayfield, during the offseason. We loved him here. So that's not surprising. And apparently that Tampa Bay team has a ton of consistency. We were talking about some running backs before the show and stuff, and looking at their stuff's crazy. But when you look at this, it's the ups and downs. We see Patrick Mahomes bouncing back up towards that 83%. But some of the guys, like you said, that just it feels like Josh Allen there in Buffalo. I don't know what happened to them Monday night. I don't know who kidnapped their team and turned them into something else or whatever happened. That was the same Atlanta team that got blanked 30-0 by the Panthers.
Exactly.
So like you said, the consistency, I don't know if it's the weapons. I don't know if it's people getting banged up or doing stuff. But about the only ones we're seeing can continue to float up towards that top. Again, and even Mayfield had a great run last week, a scramble, and he's running more than I think he has before. But you see each one of these guys, even Mahomes is back up over 20 yards per game. So Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, even Purdy had ran a little bit. And it feels like that's the only way they're getting safe floors, and they're also not killing themselves throwing the ball terribly. So it's tough. I think Caleb Williams, though, surprisingly, you said he was 12th in points. He gets New Orleans this week. I think he lights New Orleans up and probably jumps up that ranking a little bit this week.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't surprise me at all. Justin Fields has good games, and then he just has complete garbage. Now, don't get me wrong, Denver is a tough defense. So anytime you see any of your players going against Denver, especially quarterbacks, be afraid. And I look at the schedule, and this week it's now going to be the Giants. So Jaxson Dart, who I have as my up-and-coming player of this week because he's earned three straight clutch games. Since he's basically been the starter, a full-time starter, but he'll run into Denver this week. It is at home, but not a good defense to go against. Then he goes versus Dallas. No, I'm sorry, I'm off. Then he goes again at Philly, which granted they had a good game, Monday night a couple weeks ago against Philly at home. But let's be honest, Philly's going to come out really pissed off next week or in 2 weeks, so that may not go well. Then he's got San Francisco, so a lot of tough defenses coming up for Mr. Dart. I'm sure he'll be running the ball quite a bit. Just a question of whether or not the passing is going to be there. Your thoughts on Jaxson Dart? I mean, I even if I had him as a backup, I'm not sure I'm starting him over most guys. It just depends on who your main starter is. If you have, Prescott, Allen, those top guys, you're probably not, but you certainly are keeping him in the back in the back so that when you can put him in there, you get him in a game where he certainly has enough time to run and move and do things. But like I said, a couple of tough defenses coming up, but really like this kid, got a lot of fire. Of course, he's got Scattaboo, who's also a fireball. So they've certainly lit a torch there for the Giants, and they have something to live for, which is nothing I can say for the Cleveland Browns. But anyway.
I mean, Yeah, with Dart, it's like you said, him and Scatterboo. It's fun to watch the Giants again all of a sudden, and that's
Mhm.
that's saying something because Malik Neighbors is gone. Their
Right.
receiving talent. Slayton is out, Neighbors is out, Dart's still out here throwing touchdowns, running around,
Mhm.
doing stuff. They weren't supposed to compete in some of these games. So I'm a Denver fan, and the only thing that's going for me is I know they're having Demarius Thomas is being elected into the Ring of Honor for Denver this
That's
weekend,
cool.
which
Good for him.
greatly
Yeah.
deserved. So they're going to be fired up. Hopefully they don't get into this trap game and let Jaxson Dart pick them apart and run on them. But he's done it in every game, and without,
Mhm.
like I said, without a big supporting cast. Tyrone Tracy was supposed to be the starting running back. He got banged up. Scatterboo has moved in and not missed a beat. Like I said, Malik Neighbors went down. Darius Slayton went down. I even thought Wan'Dale Robinson was going to have a tough week last week. He ended up having a pretty good week. We'll see what they do against Denver. If they go out and put up points against Denver and Dart looks good in that game, it's going to be extremely hard to ignore him moving forward.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Speaking of ignore, let's talk about the player to ignore, and that is Jared Goff. Every year we talk about this. Every year we talk about how he puts up the points at home, but struggles on the road. He is 10th in total points, and he is 33% consistent, only 2 clutch games. And, so for the you folks out there, they're like, I don't understand why I'm losing because I got Jared Goff and he's 10th in total. Please stop. Look at the consistency. That's what's killing you. So, all
He
right, let's
averages
move on.
what he
Go ahead.
averages 10 points more per game at home than he does on the road. Like that's insane. It's the night and day difference is insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I forget what it was at the end of last year, but I think it was like 65% at home and like 28% on the road. It's not even close. But we're going to move on to the running back position. Clutch factor, just a little bit over 10 points, which is pretty normal. 10.10. We got a lot of 100%ers, McCaffrey, Taylor, Achane, Kyren Williams, Bijan at 5 for 5, Josh Jacobs 5 for 5, both had buys. Bucky Irving was 4 for 4 until he got hurt. Then 83%, Javonte Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Scatterboo, J.K. Dobbins at the 80%, James Cook, DeAndre Swift, and Quishon Judkins. A lot of good players there that we expect, a lot of players that we did not. I think my biggest surprise has to be DeAndre Swift. I mean, man, if you listened from March through July, they were going to trade him. They were going to draft a new, running back. They were going to get some veteran. They have just bitched about this guy forever.
It
And
sounded like over offseason they were going to replace him with somebody off the street if it came to that.
yeah,
That's how bad it
right.
was. Yeah, it was terrible.
And he just goes out again. He's 18th in total points. Again, not setting the world on fire. But he has had a bye week, so hence why he's 18th. So he hasn't played all 6 games yet. And I think he did miss a game due to injury. No, he's just had 5 games because of the bye. Got it. But 80% consistency, can't beat that. If you get that out of your RB2, the Swift, you probably are drafting as an RB3. So
Yeah.
definitely looking good. Is anybody else in there that may surprise you, good or bad? I guess not bad. They're all good.
I mean, at this point when you're looking up there in the 80% and then that little area right there, we could touch base on Scatterboo again, but we just talked about him. Like I said, it's still Quinshon Judkins to me, and I know he didn't hit a clutch game this past week for the first time in 5 weeks, I think it was, playing. But kind of like I was saying about Caleb Williams getting hugely on track, Judkins draws the Miami Dolphins this week, so there's a good chance he climbs up that board pretty high this week if they decide to give him the rock as much as they have the last 5 games.
So there is a very, very bad weather report for Sunday in Cleveland. They are talking about heavy rains and high winds.
I was going to say the Hurricane Bowl coming in there, right? Like that's what they're talking about for this, yeah.
So, so Judkins may see the ball a lot, it'll be interesting. It could be just an ugly nothing game, or it could be just a lot of running, and that's where the running backs can do well because they know where they're cutting. The defense doesn't in that wet condition. So some of the positives I want to just highlight on Ashton Gente put him up 3 straight. He seems to kind of have the flow finally going. They're at Kansas City. I think it's Sunday night. That could be troublesome, but he is catching the ball too out of the backfield. Then they have a bye, then Jacksonville, then Denver. So again, a little tough road there. The other one I want to highlight was Rachaad White, 2 straight. Yep, it's because Bucky Irving is not running.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what I will say. We're only 3 weeks away from the trade deadline for the NFL. It would not surprise me to see him traded if Tampa Bay gets a good offer. I mean, he's still a very good backup, and they're paying him, which I think they are, still rookie money, or they're probably not going to let him walk at this point. But yeah, I mean, I always said I don't know why. I mean, I know why. Bucky Irving was better than him when he came in. I get it, but just like Rico Dowdle in Carolina, Rachaad White's a very good running back and should be starting for some other team somewhere. Where that is, I don't know yet, but he needs to go somewhere. And it may not be till the offseason. Maybe that'll be the end of his rookie contract. But, yeah, he's a very good player. Guys that are heading the wrong direction, Barkley, Charbonnet, and David Montgomery. David Montgomery is my boy, but he is not getting the consistency. He's not getting the carries that he usually used to get. He is 15th in total points, but he's 3 for 6, 50%. And why? Is because almost all that came in that game against Baltimore, where he had like 150 yards and was like 2 or 3 touchdowns or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed in that because it seemed like Montgomery was always, maybe not sharing, but he was at least getting like 35 to 40%. I just feel like he's just not getting that. I don't know. But your thoughts on that group, whether you're ready to trade them or not. Charbonnet is the one that's kind of killing me because I have him quite a few places because I really thought he would continue that success he had in the past of being a 50-50 split and putting up good numbers when he got the ball, but he's not putting up good numbers.
It's kind of wild to me. I'll touch on the David Montgomery thing. It's become such an issue that I think even Dan Campbell, if I read that today, had come out and he said that he wants to try to even that backfield out back the way it was before to get Montgomery in there. And like you said, it doesn't really seem to be a rhyme or reason for why that's happening. Montgomery looks as talented as he ever has. It's just, that Gibbs the ball more. And like you said, in Seattle, Charbonnet and Walker, does anybody feel comfortable starting either one of them at any given time at this point? I mean, you almost can't, even in your flex. You're scared of it because of just what that looks like.
I have him in my flex, trust me.
Yeah, and you look at it like that, and you're like, that's what I'm going to try to do. But, because Walker and Charbonnet both have been falling off a little bit there. And one of the guys that kind of concerns me, and he's at 67%, a little bit above these guys up there, is Alvin Kamara. And you didn't have to pay a lot to get him this year. So it felt like it was going to be a steal. Felt like he was going to be involved in the passing game. They were going to be a dumpster fire. They were going to have a lot of, have to come back in games. And he's just not getting touches, really. They're just, they're kind of giving Kendre Miller some touches. And then I saw a thing today, because they've been talking about the possibility of trading. And what did he say? He said, if they trade me, I'm going to be on the beach somewhere drinking pina coladas.
Right. In other words, he's not going to go play for anybody else. I'm all excited about your dedication to your team,
that loyalty,
and your city. But if you get traded to Kansas City Chiefs, wouldn't you want to win a Super Bowl?
Go with Patrick Mahomes, win that Super Bowl, man.
Yeah,
call it a day. Enjoy yourself. Yes.
Yeah. Then you can go sit on the beach.
Rack up some points from my fantasy team while you do it. Yeah,
exactly.
But it sounds like a dead end for him at this point. And as the season goes on, they're going to give younger guys more and more touches, and I just don't see an upside there, especially if he's not going to get traded. So that's tough.
Yeah, my thought is he's probably getting paid well, which he is, and he's probably like, you know what, you want to replace me? Go ahead, put Kendre Miller in. I don't care. I got my money, but I'm not going to go for it. I don't want to go to another team and have to bust my ass to be good.
That paycheck spends the same on the bench as it does on the field for him.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask Kirk Cousins.
100%. Yes.
All right, we move to the wide receiver position. A few up there. Like I said, they're all dwindling away. The top two at 6 for 6 are both Ohio State Buckeyes, Jaxson Smith and Najigba, Chris Olave. Now, Olave is only 21st in scoring, but he's a perfect 6 for 6, while JSN, second in total points, also 6 for 6. Justin Jefferson, 5 for 5. DK Metcalf, 5 for 5. Mike Evans, of course, 3 for 3 at the beginning. And then Jordan Addison, since he came back, was 2 for 2 and then had a bye week. 83% Nakua, who's hurt. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, George Pickens, Ibuka, McMillan, and then 80% Drake London, Roma Dunze, Nico Collins. Quite the group up there. I think probably the biggest surprise to me, is probably George Pickens. I don't think he would be there if it wasn't for CeeDee Lamb being out. But he's also proved that he was a very good receiver. He proved now that he can be the one. I'm granted CeeDee Lamb's coming back this week, but now they're feeling more comfortable, I'm sure, with Lamb if he gets hurt again or if he misses any time, that they can do pretty good. Now, whether they go in football games, I don't know about that because their defense sucks. But Pickens is getting the ball a lot. Ibuka, see if he looks like he'll probably miss this week. But there's a good chance Evans comes back. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of injuries. Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel. Yeah, it's on and on. And it's just uglier and uglier as the week goes by because you're just like, you're flipping around. You're trying to get this guy and that guy, picking up guys. I picked up Luke McCaffrey because if Deebo's out, McLaurin's out. Who are they throwing to? Actually, I think I picked up Chris Moore, who was the fourth receiver on that team, because in our case, in King's Classic Flex, I had Deebo, and I'm like, I gotta do something. It's like they're playing, I think they're playing Chicago, right? No, they played Chicago last week. They're playing Dallas.
It's Washington.
So it's like shootout city, just grab anybody who has a heartbeat at wide receiver for Washington, because it may be Luke McCaffrey and Chris Moore lining up on each side for this. Zach Ertz, of course. It's quite a messy situation at wide receiver. It's just, it's like you just pray that your guys stay healthy at this point.
It is. It's absolutely wild. You're just holding out for hope that you don't start seeing those Q's and D's and the outs and all that popping up beside their names. Because, like you said, it starts becoming that crazy. Throw it out there. Kendrick Bourne became a huge waiver wire sensation. He's in the same field, but a little bit better in my mind than Chris Moore, because I feel like Chris Moore every year or so pops up for like a 2 or 3 game stretch. I feel like he did it with the Texans one year. He did it with the Ravens for a couple of games. And it's like he's the best receiver on the team for like a game or two, and then you never hear from him again. He's just gone, And then now he's in Washington, and I saw him catch that touchdown, get one knee down or the knee down, and I was like, is that Chris Moore catching touchdowns? And there he was. And I was like, it's that guy. And you're right. When you got a good offense like that, they've got a good matchup. Dallas does. You go out and you got to get what you got to get. The top up here, it's a lot of names we kind of expected they could get that. Smith, then Jigba. At the very top, he's having his breakout campaign. But you hit the nail on the head with George Pickens. I 100% agree with you. Dallas is the Cincinnati of the NFC. That team from last year, the year before. T. Higgins is the him and Pickens, same kind of thing. First guy misses, they step up and do it. But like you said, their defense couldn't shut down a JV team. It feels like in Dallas or Cincinnati. So that's tough. But
going back to McCaffrey, 3 out of his last 4. Again, probably will be getting a lot of targets again this week. Brian Thomas finally woke up. He's 3 for his last 3. Matthew Golden, 3 out of his last 3. He had a bye in between there. Seems to be becoming the player. I mean, I watched a little bit. I was watching the Red Zone as I usually do on Sundays because I can't watch any certain game. And they showed a lot of the Green Bay game because I think it was a late game, 4:00 game. And so you usually see more of the actual games because some of them are in commercial break or whatever. But it seemed like they were going to Golden heavy in that. Of course, Dobbs scored, I think, a touchdown. So But but then Christian Watson, hey, Lazarus of the Green Bay Packers, is back from the dead, and we'll see how long before he sneezes and gets hurt.
Yeah.
The fact that they gave this guy a $13 million increase in the offseason just blows my mind. Like, God, I wish I could work for a company like that. I'm going to take off, I'm going to miss half of the year for 3 years straight, and then when I come back and you give me a big raise, yeah, sure, go ahead.
And I won't be back till halfway through the season either,
Yeah, right. Exactly. Man, he must have some pictures with the GM or something with.
There's got to be
something. I don't know.
The Chris Godwin signing for Tampa Bay makes little sense to me because they're rewarding him, I guess, for the years past.
Yeah, I get that. Right.
Watson hasn't done any of that though. Yeah, you're like you said, if he gets a long pass, it's kind of like Mike Williams used to be for the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Watch him catch the long pass. You're like, oh, well, that's the end of the day for him. Because it is. He pulled a hamstring, turned an ankle, did something, and it's over with. But you're like, I hope he scores. If he scores, nobody touches him. That way he doesn't get hurt. So, yeah.
All right, going to the tight end position, and it's really interesting. The tight ends still have a clutch factor over 10. Like I said, they normally are 8.5. So the fact that they're right there with the receivers and running backs at a clutch factor of 10 is quite amazing. Now, that also, of course, keeps a lot of the consistency numbers down, but we still got Dallas Goedert 5 for 5. Of course, Kittle missed one game, but he's due back, which hurts all you players, owners like me who have Jake Tonjes. So I'm thinking about contacting all of the George Kittle owners and go, hey, can I trade you Tonjes just in case he gets hurt again, and you can give me some just breathing viable receiver or tight end. A lot of Tyler Warren been looking good, second total points. Trey McBride third. Of course, Jake Ferguson is first because he plays for Dallas. They're all at 83%, and then we got some 67% with Tonjes, AJ Barner, Darren Waller walking in there, and then a couple 60%. Dalton Kincaid, who magically missed last week. Tucker Kraft, both 3 for 5. And then we have the trio of Travis Kelce, Sam LaPorta, and Hunter Henry, 5th, 6th, and 8th in total points, all at 50% consistency. Not what we want out of our tight ends. I don't care where they're ranked in points. 50% is just barely surviving. The sad part is there's a lot more below that amount.
Yeah.
And I keep wanting to believe Kelce. I mean, look, Kelce's earned 2 straight clutch games. I can't complain, right? But he's just getting 11 and 12 points. He's not getting that. I'm waiting for that 6 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns that we expect. Now, maybe with Rashee Rice back, and now we've got our full complement of receivers stretching that field outward, that leaves Kelce a little bit more open in the middle. I don't know, but man, I could use him just to kick up those numbers a little bit. But again, he's 5th in total points. So it's hard to complain. Just some positive guys I wanted to highlight. Harold Fanning Jr.'s had a really nice game with a couple games with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. And then I think Njoku got hurt or something like that.
He's banged up.
Definitely, assuming he's probably was picked up and kept from weeks ago, but if he's not, grab him. Cade Otton's put up 2 straight clutch games, and Oronde Gadsden had a really nice game this past week. He almost earned a clutch game the week before. So if you're hurting, if you have Mark Andrews and you don't have somebody this week, I would grab Gadsden. They're playing Indy, Minnesota, Tennessee, and Pittsburgh over the next 4 weeks. So could be some nice spots there. Pittsburgh is 29th against tight ends. What else did I say? Indy is down there, I think, somewhere as well. Nobody really tough against tight ends there. So definitely worth grabbing him because they are struggling there as well with the receivers. So definitely check that out. Any other tight ends in there that strike your fancy or you kind of pushing away? I see Kyle Pitts is back down to 40%, which is where we expected him.
It's wild. I feel like their passing offense kind of picked up, but the more they picked that up, the more they funneled it to basically Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and that's pretty much it.
As they should.
And that makes sense. Give those guys the thing that they like. And I'll harp on the same guy that I've been touching on, the rookie from New York as well. I love Fannin Jr. too, so that if you can get him somewhere, I love him. But I like Mason Taylor in New York. I'm going to throw that early morning Jets Broncos debacle that Justin Fields went through, because the craziest stat about that was Fields got sacked 9 times and completed only 9 passes. That's only happened 5 times since 2000. The last quarterback who did it before Fields was Fields in 2021. So yeah. So if you're like that, that's insane. That's an insane stat. That's something you never want to be a part of. But Garrett Wilson is out now. They're talking about fielding receivers like Alan Lazard, Arian Smith. I can't even. I think it's Tyler Johnson, the guy who's
maybe.
So Mason Taylor should get all he can handle, and I don't think they're going to run up against Denver again here anytime soon. So he was 2 for 2 the weeks prior to last week, and I think he's going to continue his stream upward. And like I said, some of the guys that I'm fading away, like you said, Hunter Henry's one of those guys that I feel like the receiving room there is starting to come on a little bit. He was almost always touchdown dependent anyway. And I'm kind of, I don't see a bunch of big games from him as May continues to run a little bit. And like I said, he's trusting Diggs, he's trusting Kayshon Boutte. And they've also got Kyle Williams there, who's probably going to have a better second half as he acclimates to the NFL. So, so I'm laying off Henry a little bit here, and I'm liking Taylor. So that's saying something at tight end. I don't know what else to say outside those top few guys.
Well, and they got Carolina this week at home. Then they go to Cincinnati. So
that's right.
2 pretty weak defenses, especially against a tight end. They are actually 31st and 32nd.
Yeah.
So if now is not the Mason Taylor time, I'm not sure when it is. So definitely get him in there if you don't have him already, or DFS or wherever you've got a good idea to squeeze him in. That is the spot, definitely for sure. So awesome. All right, well, as we head into week 7, everybody just keep an eye on all injury stories up till game time. Do we have another London? We do, don't we?
We do. We have another 9 a.m. London game, yes.
Is it Jets? Is it the Jets-Carolina game?
I don't think it is. Give me a sec. It is Jacksonville versus the Rams.
Okay. Gotcha.
The Rams and the Jaguars, yep.
All right, so definitely keep an eye on all that.
And do we have a doubleheader on Monday night?
I think we do. It's not a same time thing. I think it's a
staggered
10. Yeah, this time.
Okay.
I think so I think there's a doubleheader, but it's not that like 7:15, 8:15 at the same time kind of guy. Yeah, I think it's a 7 and 10 or 7 and 10 or 8 and 10 o'clock. So definitely keep an eye on those. But again, watch everything you can. Keep an eye on. There's so many guys that are on the edge. Like I said, a lot of good players like Wilson, Evans, just many, many players. A lot of tight ends. Darren Waller, Kittle. Deebo Samuel. So keep an eye on all those to make sure they're playing or not playing. It might come up to literally 12:55 or whatever. So in your lineups, if you have the ability to move the players playing later to flex, do that. That helps. So you're not stuck needing just a running back. You move them to flex and move a running back up. Then you have a chance to fill in any spot there if you have the typical wide receiver, running back, tight end kind of scenario at flex. I know that all sounds silly, but trust me, if you ever get stuck with that, that's a big deal.
Huge difference. And then you have to, it's huge.
Yeah, because usually the single position don't have a lot of spots, especially tight ends. Those are the toughest ones. And, the other issue is, do you have the ability to drop a guy? So anyway, on Monday night, when I saw that Kincaid was out, I noticed that Dawson Knox was still available in our Kings Classic. I was going to go grab him so the other guy didn't, and then just, put him on my bench. I wasn't going to play him. Well, then I looked, the only guys I had that were also playing was all of the Chicago and Washington guys, which I had in my starting lineup. So anyway, I didn't pick up Dawson Knox. It didn't matter anyway. So I guess I was must have been penalized by the fantasy gods for even thinking of doing that, because then they didn't let me win anymore. So there you go. Don't tempt the fantasy gods. It's not. They don't like it. It's not fun. So all right, James, tell everybody where they can find you, of course, and then we'll take them out.
Absolutely. Check out the articles at bigguyfantasysports.com. I've got the Under the Radar weekly article, the Game of Fantasy Points article coming out. Also got a few videos up on our YouTube channel for stuff like that. Be sure to check that out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow me on X at JKeezy. And love to talk football. And as always, I hope you guys all enjoy Thursday night.
Definitely follow me on Twitter at Bob_Lung. All the great stuff. We had Ron and I with our videos, 1 week wonders. We've got stuff coming this weekend. We got the prop bets. We got the DFS. Colby's flying out, so be Ron and I taking on both. So we'll see how we do this week. And as James said, all kinds of great stuff every day. Get in there, sign up, get those consistency tools. It's only $20 for the season, and you'll be on top of the game like you are when you watch this show. So. For James Knight and Bob Long, take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.